First of all, anyone who's got into Hack GT, good luck. I hope someone from SSD wins. That would be so cool. If you're not going to Hack GT, we have the hackathon in Marston and Carson this weekend, Saturday 12 to 3 like usual. Yeah, also the SSD shirts, which you've seen like mentioned in the attendance forms every week, they're coming soon. Okay. We have them designs finalized. We're getting the funding thing worked out. Jonas is in charge of that. So close. Yeah, now we'll welcome CJ, who will talk to us about blockchain stuff.
Hello, I'm CJ. This is my first presentation doing this for SSD, so I'm gonna try to keep it low code and just get a feel for how this stuff works. So hope you guys have fun with it. That's the goal here. So talking about blockchain. So here's our agenda for today. We're going to talk about the reasoning why it exists, the types of kind of verification that we have, proof of work and proof of stake. Talk about Bitcoin a little, talk about Ethereum and their smart contracts, a little bit about altcoins, then I'll talk about the abuse that a lot of cryptos have gone through. So Bitcoin, to what end? Why does it exist? There's a couple things that make a currency good or a reason to have something like Bitcoin. Those being proof of digital ownership. So currently it's hard to prove that you have something. Like if you own something, you can hold it and you can be like, this is mine, I'm going to keep it, put it in a safety deposit box. You can't do that with digital assets. So that's where kind of blockchain comes in, the reasoning behind all this. We're also going to go into scarcity. Scarcity is important to make something valuable. If everybody has it, nobody wants it. We're going to talk about preserving anonymity too. Things like bank accounts, really easy to trace. And we'll talk about that. And decentralizing currency, also another big deal because in the current, in the last 2 years, we've seen a lot of abuse by a small fraction of people ruining currencies for everybody. I was going to say something else. I'll keep going if I remember it. Okay, so what is a digital dollar? So you can go into your Chase account or a bank account anywhere and you can look at it and you can be, okay, I have $30 in my bank account, but who actually owns it? Because your bank is the one who can spend it and the government is the one who printed it. So what part of that is yours? You can go and get your $30, but there's a maximum that you can get out. With Bitcoin and all that, you own it. There's proof that you own it, proof of work, the blockchain proves that you own it, and you can get it out whenever you want. So talking more about that. Somewhere in here, I had a slide that I wanted to show. Oh, well, this is it actually. So anonymity. So like I said, online bank accounts, easy to track, same thing with credit cards, Venmo, Zelle, all that. It's really, there's no visibility. There's like tons of visibility, for everybody to go and see that. What cryptocurrencies do, they're in pursuit of something that usually is called digital cash. So cash is something you can put under your mattress, you can store, you can go and get it whenever you want. And nobody can really spend it without your consent because it's yours, you have it. That's not something you can do with bank accounts because you put your money in and people take it out. Same thing with decentralization. Currently, we've seen a lot of inflation happen in every single global market that there is. 80% of all US currency has been printed in the last 2 years. I'm sure you've seen that statistic all over the place. And it's because there's no repercussion for it. With Bitcoin, there's a limited supply. You only get 21 million of them, and they're all going to be minted by 2040. Same thing with the blockchain with Bitcoin. It's immutable. You can't change it. So, the US government can change their monetary policy. They can make it so you have less money, even though you have the same number. And that's a problem that Bitcoin solves because nobody can abuse it because everybody owns it. So blockchain verification, security. There's a couple ways to make this stuff secure. And the way you do this is by getting a bunch of people to agree that this is what happened. One of those ways is proof of work. So I'm sure you've heard of it with the graphics card buying and all that. ASICs are that for Bitcoin. Another one, proof of stake. This is what Ethereum just moved to a couple months ago. Things like Solana and Cardano are on this. And proof of space. This is a new thing that Chia coin has actually come up with. And I'll talk a little bit more about that. It's more energy efficient than proof of work, and it's a little more secure than proof of stake. So here's a cool animation for you guys. We got the pudding. There's the proof. Okay, so proof of work. You guys might have heard this before. It's solving a really hard math problem. Your computer solves a really hard math problem. Check out another animation. That's garbage. That's not true. And it's not something anybody should ever be saying. If you hear that, it means that person has no idea what they're talking about. This machine is the Antminer S19 made by Bitmains. It's an ASIC. It solves this really hard math problem 95 trillion times a second. Some math problem, right? So it's not solving a really hard math problem. It's solving a bunch of really easy math problems as fast as possible. So they call them terahash or hashes. So this is 95 terahash, tera being trillion, like giga and mega. And basically, what this does is it takes two previous numbers. It takes the previous blockchain, and it takes a unique identifier that you have. The identifier isn't necessarily unique, but it's algorithmically unique, but to the point where nobody else can really have it because it's so impossible for that to happen. It's so unlikely. Anyway, you might be thinking 95 trillion guesses per second. How does it check that many times? I play CSGO, I get 100 ping. That means I can check 10 times a second, right? Because every time it comes around. What's cool about hashing is that's not how it works, because you can take one number or one word and you can run it through the hashing algorithm and you get a hash out. And you can share that hash with everybody else because it's a one-way street. You can't take that hash back to the word. So everybody tries to guess this word and they can compare what they guessed against the hash. So it makes it so everybody can have the hash and check locally before they finally submit their answer. Bitcoin works on a SHA-256 hash. I'm not a hash expert, but I know that this is something that people can design ASICs for. So it kind of circumvents the proof of work like that. Ethereum is what they call ASIC resistant. So that means that they use a hashing algorithm that's hard to do ASICs with. There's some guesses that there are ASICs out there that work for Ethereum. It doesn't matter anymore because it's not proof of stake, but that's just conjecture. Anyway, the scale, I'm getting a little off topic there. Go back to the slides. The scale of the global hash rate for Bitcoin gets changed every 10 days. So it kind of changes with the times, because you only get one Bitcoin every 10 minutes, no matter what. Only one Bitcoin gets minted, and you put them in things called blocks. And that's where all the transaction happens, are in these blocks. So Bitcoin happens every 10 minutes, regardless of the global hash rate. If someone finds the answer in 2 minutes, there's just no mining for the next 8 minutes. So more into proof of work. Some examples: Bitcoin, proof of work. Ethereum used to be proof of work. It was for a very long time, and now they changed it to proof of stake. The pros of it: very difficult to cheat. They talk about the 50% attack. Not something that really is that easy to do on proof of work, because you have to own 50% of the work, which is really, really expensive. Not even getting into the point that a 50% attack is stupid, because once you do it, the currency is worthless. But anyway, pros again, you can use it to load power plants, which is really something that people are just starting to get into, because you can turn these things on and off, and power plants are really hard to turn on and off. So if you, instead of turning the power on and off, you just shift the power into mining Bitcoin, that's a great way to do it, because it consumes a lot of electricity. It's really easy to do. The only risk in that is mining Bitcoin is cheaper than, it's more cost effective than supplying people with power. So don't let them get too many ideas. But the cons of it, you're just turning electricity into heat. So you're wasting energy. This is a big deal for Elon Musk. He had to take back his tweets because he was contributing to global warming. Also, graphics card investments. You might have noticed Ethereum went down from proof of work. So now tons of graphics cards all over the market, all used. Nobody wants them anymore. NVIDIA took a huge dive. But anyway, and same thing with ASIC investments. Now people are circumventing the point of proof of work by building these specialized machines and getting 95 trillion hashes a second. On Ethereum, you got mega hashes. You got 8 mega hashes at best, which is why they made them ASIC resistant. So, that's how you mine. Keep your arms out in front of you when you fix it. Anyway, this is another example. There's a kind of an analogy. Bitcoin miners are just playing Wordle, but you get no hints. And, everybody's seen this meme. SHA-256 will guess the hash. So this is what Bitcoin is doing, but you don't get any hints. You just try to guess it. Anyway, we're going to take a break because talking is boring. So we're going to play that. We're we're gonna be the minors. So I want you guys to get into maybe groups of 4. If you guys can do it, I'll split you up if you want me to do that instead. But find groups of 4, and then once you do that, go try to sit together, and then I'll bring you up to the chalkboard, and you guys can start guessing numbers 0 to 99. And the first one who gets it gets a Bitcoin chocolate. Bitcoin chocolate. Chocolate. It says it right there. Don't want anyone getting any ideas. Always. Yeah, you can go solo. Actually, that's another thing. You guys can be in a pool or you can be solo, but you only get 1 Bitcoin no matter what if you win. Yeah, I'm actually gonna change it to 0 to 49. 100 is a big number.
Oh, yeah. I guess.
Would you like using organic?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I'm gonna write it on the chalkboard. That way you guys can be silly about it. Come on. We'll get a piece of chalk and find some sleep.
Oh.
Everybody come up to this chalkboard. Yeah, and you all get.
Okay, yeah.
As fast as you can, the number of possible. You kind of first meeting.
Okay, I'm having a guess here now.
And it's not close. Exactly.
Oh, yeah, you have to get 0 to 50, 0 to 49. Now. No.
Wait,
Start going. What are you waiting for?
What was the range?
Wait, can we also
0
write
to
it?
49. No.
One.
You guys know if I see it.
7, 9.
I'll keep going. I'll let you know if you get it.
19, 20, 30, 31.
You got it. 31, that's the number. Here's your Bitcoin chocolate. All right, great. So we're doing it again. We got 4 more of these.
I like my strategy. Just keep going.
need more of a random 31.
Are there multiple?
Yeah.
Oh.
No, everybody erase. Everybody erase.
We need more GPUs.
I would.
You parallel processing.
What do you want to try?
If you win, you can keep going. You can get more than one.
I'm a generous.
Alex is the
All right, go.
You go.
Jonas, you got it.
Yeah.
There's 5.
Viewing my strategy.
Yeah.
All right, erase.
What's that?
There's 5. Jonas got it first. All right, we're there.
I can't
All right,
do
start.
odd numbers.
All right, I lost it. All right, stop there. Steven got it. It's 45. I think you'll take 45.
Yes.
All right. You can eat your chocolate, but save the wrapper. We're gonna eat them later.
I just right as the top.
We'll get them.
Come on.
All right, if you draw a Bitcoin on a piece of paper, Jonas, I'll let you have that. too. Just do it later. Okay.
That's an easier number.
All right,
You giving up or you?
no, I gotta do it again. Ray, maybe, no.
Yeah.
That's the number.
No, I didn't.
Okay.
No. No, one more time.
This is not decentralized. They're picking the hash with human intervention.
You get that.
The half is already taken.
Oh, and we're going from 0 to 50.
Wait, goddamn it.
I know, I lied about that. That was wrong.
0 to 15.
Hey, you got it. Let's go.
24.
Well,
It's 22. I think Ian barely missed. All right, we're gonna get one more time.
Okay.
Should we get a 99 on this one?
Yeah,
We're going to 99.
Okay. All right. It's going to
We're going 0 to 99.
Alright.
Go.
Ready to go.
Who got it?
Jonas got it.
What was it?
86.
I wrote this. I'm sorry.
Okay, cool.
No, you just did one. What? I'm gonna give someone on the end, like, if they're retired, just couldn't open it. Just to keep it plastic, but I, never mind, they will fly away, and the other people on it. Anyway, it's a piece of plastic, it's not a chocolate.
I get the grade.
I told you it wasn't real, you still acted.
I want to like walk up to a little kid and like, you want this big for it?
All right, Don't eat these yet. These are your theorems. We'll use them later. Don't eat these yet. You can eat them later. Okay, anyway, moving on. We're gonna talk a little about Chia too, proof of space. So here's my Chia picture. Chia coin. Okay, so what's cool about Chia is it's a lot more energy efficient than proof of work. So instead of using computations to do it, we use hard drives. So we map out the entire blockchain, every future path it could be on a hard drive, and you can store it for later. So yeah, like I said, do this thing called mapping. It's more inefficient than proof of work. It's more secure than proof of stake because you still have to prove that you have these things and you're still using them. And it's a lot less rich get richer mentality than proof of stake. And I'll explain a little bit more of what I mean about that when I get to proof of stake. The cons of it, people are going to make ASICs for it. You're going to make hard drives that can do this really, really fast and are really, really good at this. So eventually this is going to get ruined, but someone's going to come up with a different coin that's going to be resistant to that. So proof of space is a really unique concept, and it's something I'd like to see taken further. But right now it's still in its infancy, with only Chia being the one. Okay, so we're getting to proof of stake. This is a lot of the really, really cool blockchains are in here because they're super fast. The problem with them, I'll get into in a second. I don't want to get ahead of myself again. So proof of stake. Now we got Ethereum on there. We got Solana and Cardano. I'm not that familiar with Cardano, but I know the other two real well. Okay, so pros. It's an answer to concerns about energy consumption. So Bitcoin mining, like I said, people are taking power plants and they're just turning them straight into heat. And that's not something that people really want to have happen. So like a bunch of these, there's a bunch of coal mines owned by Bitcoin miners in China, or at least they used to be. Now they sold them because they banned it. But anyway, another speed of this, speed. You can make them really, really fast. So like I said, with Bitcoin, 1 block every 10 minutes. This thing is on demand. For Solana, it's on demand. Ethereum was on demand previously with mining, but this is cheap and it's on demand. So every single time you want a transaction, it can happen. The cons of it, it's less decentralized. You have these people called validators. Solana has 7 of them. I don't know how many Ethereum has, but if one of these validators lies, you have a really big problem. And if 4 of them lie, the blockchain is busted. And what I mean by lie is if they get information in about something that happened on the blockchain and then they don't put it. So what they could do is they could send 100 SOL to Jonas, right? And then before that transaction is done, they can reverse it. So in the smart contract, they get Jonas's Bitcoin and he gets nothing because I just reverted his 100 SOL. That's one of the 50% attack things. Again, that ruins the validation of Solana and it would make the price worthless. So it's not a good idea to do that, even if you have the ability. But again, less decentralized because of that. It's more susceptible to attacks, and it's really, like I said before, a rich get richer mentality. If you have 100 ETH, you're going to make a lot more money than someone who only has 1, because you can stake 100 and you get money based on how many you stake. So yeah, there you go. Stake. You have a question, Jonas?
Yeah, so I don't remember for sure if Solana was the one this happened to, but I know basically there was a blockchain recently where basically the entire transaction history of everything that was ever done on that coin.
That's tough.
Was released. I don't remember if it was Solana, but I'm pretty sure it's one.
Someone trying to get in over there. Sorry to interrupt, but I don't think they're locked, right? It should be open. Never mind. Anyway, sorry to interrupt. Yeah, so someone got everything erased. I don't think that was Solana. I didn't. But Solana had a really big hack.
It's like the entire transaction history of that coin was is probably.
Oh, okay. I thought that was normal. I thought the ledger was something that happened on everything except for like Monero and stuff like that. I don't know what you're talking about though. It could have been Solana. That sucks for them though. I don't think that has much to do with proof of stake, but I'll have to look that up. Sounds really interesting, but I think Solana's already public though, so I don't think it could be Solana. Anyway, moving on. We got these things called smart contracts, and smart contracts are really cool because they're trustless. And this is a word that isn't really used that much. You don't have to trust anyone. So generally, when you are doing something like, let's say you're on Craigslist, right? And you find a lawnmower that you want to buy. You show up with the money, and then the guy robs you at gunpoint, right? What happened there? You lost your money and you got nothing in return. With one of these, it's your middleman. So this happens, smart contracts is on the blockchain, it gets validated by the blockchain, and it's basically a middleman. So you go through the smart contract gets both your assets and then sends them back out on the other side. And this happens automatically. You can see the contract, you can download it off of Ethereum, you can view the solidity. Solidity is the language that they use. It's really a simple language. But you can view it and you can read what happens and you can make sure that everything that happens in there is exactly what you want to have happen. ERC20 tokens are really cool because you can mint tokens on a blockchain, basically. So what these people do is they have these projects on there. So things like Uniswap, Aave, I don't know if you guys know these things, but they're different like decentralized finance protocols where they make money, basically. So they take money, they do something with it, and then they take a percentage. And these governance tokens are basically stock for it. And this is a really big reason why a lot of wealth gets manufactured in crypto, because you can take one of these coins, you can mint it. So let's say your project is worth $100 million and you mint a bunch of coins and then you sell them all. You have $100 million and other people have $100 million worth of governance tokens. So now there's $200 million in existence where there really was only 100 to begin with. So this is another reason, or one of the reasons why crypto is so volatile, because these transactions can happen every single day and you can manufacture wealth like that. This is in comparison, a little bit in comparison to Solana. Solana, reason why there's some pros to it, there's some cons to it. Super cheap transactions. The gas fees are ridiculously inexpensive and it's very fast. It's really hard to break this blockchain with a bunch of transactions. Unlike Ethereum, Ethereum is pretty slow in comparison, but Ethereum is slow by no means. It is expensive though. It's usually going to be about $4 for doing a regular transaction, and probably up to 20 if you're using ERC20 tokens. Solana has a counterpart to ERC20 tokens called STL tokens. One of the problems with Solana is it's kind of untested. There's a lot of loopholes there, and I know a lot of people have already found them and are waiting for the perfect time to strike and steal a bunch of money. I don't think that's actually real. I think it's pretty secure, but yeah. It's also, I'm going to get a little more into this. This is why I'm moving to the next slide, because I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. Smart contracts. Bitcoin has smart contracts, which is kind of surprising for a lot of people. It's in a language called script. It's very unique. Never heard that word before. But it's actually not Turing complete, which is really interesting because on Bitcoin, you pay by bytes. So you send up a contract, and if it's a megabyte, you have to pay a megabyte's worth of price. But that means it can run indefinitely, because if you just put a loop in there, it can just ruin the blockchain by going over and over and over again. So it's not Turing complete, so that it eventually stops and you can't do stuff like that. And you guys, I thought I would expect to know, but maybe you don't. Turing complete means you can solve basically any problem a computer can solve if a language is Turing complete. But script is not Turing complete. Unlike Ethereum, which uses Solidity, it is Turing complete because you pay by the instruction. So they're banking on the fact that eventually you're going to run out of money, which is a pretty good bet. So you pay per instruction. So that basically means if there's a loop, you're going to pay for every single cycle. Ethereum contracts are immutable, which means once you send them up there, you can't change them. You can't update them. You can't do anything. If you want to do it again, you're going to have to pay another around probably 8 Ethereum to send another one up there and change the address. And this is really important to do because if it's not immutable, you can scam people by changing the addresses on stuff. Ethereum also has full visibility to this stuff. Like I said before, you can download the contract and view the solidity. So you can view the actual code that's happening there, and you can make sure that this is a real contract and it's something that you want to put your money in. Solana, it's coded in Rust, which is, you guys probably are familiar with Rust, at least most of you. It's kind of like the, I don't know, Blake definitely knows more about what Rust is than me. I've used it a little, but it's kind of like the shiny new C# or Java. That's the way I would use to describe it. You get a lot of access over memory, but there's a lot of features in there that make it really much better than C++ and C#. It is Turing complete. But the problem, well, kind of a problem, the two big problems I see with the Solana one is you can't update the contract after. So once it goes up there, you can update it up to twice as big as it was before. So this means you can change addresses that people send money to. You can change owner of, well, you can't change owner of who the token is because I'll get into that with the data and code decoupled, but it's not that, it's a little more in depth, and I don't know if I want to go that far in right now. But the contracts just can be updated. And the smart contracts can't be decompiled. Well, they can be decompiled, but they're compiled before they go up. So when you download it, you have to view compiled code, which isn't something you can view. You can try to go through a decompiler and see it, but it's not going to work that well. So you actually can't see what you're putting your money into on Solana. You don't get the same visibility you get on Ethereum, which can cause a lot of problems. And the reason you don't do that is because of the data and code being decoupled. This is why the instructions are so cheap. So in Ethereum, every single time you do a smart contract, you get the smart contract owns the tokens that go in. With Solana, you get these token accounts that own the stuff, and the code is the owner of the token account. So it makes it so that you don't have to reinstantiate everything, and these things live on the blockchain and stay there, and you can run the code once for less than a penny. These ERC20 tokens are really, really cool SPL tokens. These are fungible tokens. I don't know if you guys know what fungible means. I'm sure you do with NFTs, you've heard that before. But I'll put them to demonstration of fungibility. Eric, do you have a Hershey Kiss?
I have one, yeah.
You ate it?
Yeah.
All right, can we trade?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you lose anything?
No.
Did you gain anything?
No.
So Hershey Kisses are fungible, right? Does anyone have an iPhone 13 in here?
I don't like where this is going.
You want to trade iPhones? Why not?
Cell
So it's not the same. So they're both iPhone 13s, but they're not fungible because they're not the same thing. You can't trade them one for one. You're going to lose something or you're going to gain something. So that's fungibility. So these ERC20 tokens, a lot of people use them as similar to shares of companies. So here we've got Tulip, Soulfarm, we've got Uniswap, and we've got Aave. And those are all kind of things where they're governance tokens. So when you own a certain number, you can vote on the direction that the company goes. They put up these votes and you can put your coins there and you can, you get them back at the end, but basically you get to choose what happens. And a lot of these projects, they make the tokens worth something by taking the percent of fee that they take. So they take a percentage fee and then they use that fee and they buy these tokens for them. So they automatically buy these tokens, which decreases the supply of them, increasing the scarcity, which should increase the price. And usually it does.
So if with fungible tokens, then you can trade them and like there's no loss for both parties. So if you have like non-fungible tokens like NFTs
Mhm.
and you trade them, then it results in a loss for both parties, right?
It's not always a loss. Someone would gain and someone would lose usually, but basically the rule is that they're not the same, right? You can't just trade them. Okay, so yes, they're a loss. I see that's what you wanted me to say. Then what? Is there something funny going to happen?
No, that's not part.
Okay, yeah, well, we'll do that later. But if we traded iPhones, I think we both lose. So yeah, you're right. We are roasting NFTs. Does anybody got a campfire? Never mind. So like I said before, contributes to the manufacturing of wealth. You get these tokens, you buy them back. So you spent the money. So you take these fees, which is money, you spend them to get these coins, which increases the price of the coins. So now you have money that doesn't really exist in the form of these coins. Okay, so now that we have ERC20 tokens, what do we do with them? SPL tokens, right? We got these governance tokens. Kind of went into this a little, I jumped the gun here, but decentralized applications, dApps, that's what they're called. They like to abbreviate things. Same thing with DeFi, decentralized finance. And they do these things called farms. So we went over staking, and I'll talk a little bit about that in just a slide, but these farms basically give you something to do with your tokens. So they collect these tokens and they say, okay, you give me these tokens and I will give you a different token every week, right? That I have this token, and it makes it so I hold on to these tokens, decreasing the supply, increasing scarcity, increasing price. So these farms are basically Ponzi schemes to get you to to lock away your tokens so they can give you more so that they're worth more more money. And it's hard to explain like that, but that's the best explanation I can give. And I'll talk a little about it in staking, and staking is not a Ponzi scheme. Staking is better than this, but they took the concept of staking and applied it to nothing, which makes it happen. Anyway, we got some exchanges here. Radium. Radium is for Solana. It's like the Uniswap of Solana. Uniswap. Leveraging Aave. Aave is a big one for that. You put your money in and you can borrow against it. Again, more manufacturing of wealth. I don't know if you probably learned about this in high school if you took an economics class, but the money supply, right? Banks get $100 and they lend out 90 of it, and then they probably get that $90 back into their bank. So they lend out another 81 of that, right? So you keep getting this, and this is the same thing that happens with Aave here. So you're increasing the funds of anything. So you're just manufacturing money again here, which is why if you guys heard about Terra Luna, where Terra Luna they had a pegged coin, they had a stable coin on USD. It was worth $1, and then it wasn't worth $1. They lost it. So everybody lost their money. The price hit like 37 cents for one of these US dollars. So that's a risk that you run doing this stuff. Anyway, break time again. We're gonna do the same thing as before, but with proof of stake. So your Hershey Kiss is an ETH, and we're gonna use it to verify the blockchain. I have some ETHs in here too. So basically this is just a random number generator. That I'm gonna put on my phone. How many of you are there? 1, 2, 3, 4. Raise your hand if you still have your Hershey Kiss and didn't eat it. Okay, that's good. Everybody but Eric. Did you eat it? Eric, we'll put you back in. We'll spot you.
I feel like it's probably the least of their.
All right, we got 16 right now. Or random number generating. Oh, everybody staked their ETH, right? Okay, we got 6. Who's number 6?
What?
You didn't tell us that.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, you're probably with one over here and going to 6 over there. All right, pick 16.
We know our number.
Okay, fine, we're counting.
Oh, 1,
2,
3.
4, 5, 6, 7,
8.
9,
11, 12,
13.
14.
Okay, we don't have 16. All right, I'm gonna read on this.
We don't have a 6.
7.
I
Who's
thought
7?
we would be 2 and 3 then.
You're 7, all right. Here's your ETH. So now you have 2 ETHs. So now you get twice the odds that you used to have. I'm generating again, we got 11. So now we're gonna put you at 16 too. You're also 16 now. We got 11. Who's 11? Okay, now we're throwing something else into the mix. If you had a Bitcoin, I'll let you use it to buy 5 ETH.
What is that?
Yeah. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna go with 80. Because Bitcoin's worth a lot. So you can come up and trade your Bitcoin for 80. But the Hershey Kids.
Let's do it, it's crack.
And it doesn't have to be the chocolate, it can be just the wrapper too. But you have to do it, you can't do it twice. If you have 2 halves, then it's equal. How many do you have? You get all 8?
You have some dumpster back for the other ones.
No, I will allow you to get 1. Yeah, you get 16. You get 8. This is fair, guys, right? You guys are all okay with this?
If you want us to hold off on these.
Yeah. Or you can eat them if you want, but then it's unsafe.
I feel like I'm gonna get screwed over the hardest because of the.
It's possible.
Wait, so what number do I have?
We'll start over. Start over.
Yeah. I've got one.
All right, we're starting over. Orlando, start with you.
1.
Roland? 2. No. How many do you have? 9, right? Yeah. So add 9 to 10. Call yourself 2 through 10, right? What are you?
How many do I have?
You still have 9. I'm not too
I
sure.
have not, okay, that's 15.
Okay.
20, 21,
Okay. How many? Okay, yeah.
28. 29 through 36.
Okay.
37.
38 through 55.
Okay. All right, we're going to 56 then, and we got 3 more to give away. It was 39 units, right? No, this is the wrong thing. This is the right thing. You get the special one. All right, we're generating again. We got 56. That's you. That is, yeah. You're also 57. I didn't say that.
Okay.
We're just gonna go on top here. And we got 29. Who's 29?
Nice.
So the rich got richer, huh? What a surprise. Anyway, NFTs. Your favorite. All right, so NFTs do have a place. I know a lot of people hate them for a lot of reasons, and that's just the bad ones. NFTs have good reasons for songs, books, art, skins, and video games. And the reason for that is now you can take your thing. So let's say let's talk about Pearson, right? Pearson, you pay $100 and you get to rent a digital book for 1 year, and it's not any better than the written book because it's just a PDF. You can't even click on the questions and go to the answer. It's so shitty. Anyway, if you had an NFT for your Pearson book, you could sell it at the end, right? You do your thing and now you can sell it. And what's cool about ERC20 token or ERC, I think these are 729s actually now. Not that that number matters, but for NFTs on Ethereum, they can bake into it transaction fees. So they can say, when we mint this, we're going to get 20% when it sells. So if you sell this book for 10 ETH, which is ridiculous, you're never going to do that because that's a lot. But they get 2 of them, right? So you only get 8 then, which is kind of cool because you can benefit by being able to sell them, and the original manufacturer can benefit by getting money off of it. But like I said, history of abuse. Anyway, there's a path to recovery for them though, and that really lies into mainstream adoption from things like song creators, artists, stuff like that. And really, I don't think art really has a place in NFTs. I don't really like art. So. I think it really has. Yeah, thank you, Eunice. Thank you. I think about that. Anyway, I think it really has real use cases in digital ownership of stuff like books and songs, poetry, even. Anyway, abuse of crypto. Rug pulls, Luna yield. I was a victim of Luna yield. Not a victim, more of a, I don't know what to call it. I wouldn't call myself a victim because I was trying to profit off of it. They were given 400% APY at. So I was like, okay, if I put in $100 for 2 months, I'll get $50 and I'll just be happy there. Because obviously it's a scam. Nobody gives 400% APY. Either it's intentionally a rug pull or it's going to collapse. 2 days after I did it, it got rug pulled. They stole $6.7 million. I contributed to that. Anyway, this is something you got to be careful for. Pump and dumps too. Everybody's familiar with this stuff. Dogecoin, SafeMoon. There's no use cases for this stuff. They said Dogecoin's good for micro tipping, right? Sure. And now we're getting the SEC involved, which is not good. We don't like SEC. They've never really been good at their job to begin with. And now they're trying to get into something they don't understand.
4 years, not building.
Yeah, true. Anyway, they are making it so you can't do these governance tokens in the United States, which doesn't make it so these things don't happen. It just makes it so they don't happen in the United States. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of it. They're making you report it on your taxes now, which is fine. It probably should have started like that to begin with. But it's making it hard for it to grow, which, I mean, they should be scared, right? Because this is going to take their jobs. If I had it my way, I would never give the government another 80% of our currency printed in 2 years. That's embarrassing. Can't happen with this stuff. Anyway, We're gonna do the NFT demo now. Who has a lot of these things? Can you like one finger if you have more than 10, 2 if you have more than 12? Do you have one? Anybody with one? Put one hand up if you have more than 10. One finger.
I have theoretically one, too, but I didn't grasp.
No, no. Oh, okay. How many eats do you have? I want 2 people here who have like a considerable number. They can actually do the demo. Anybody with more than 10? One finger up if you have more than 10. Currently, and you didn't eat them. Okay, how about 8? How many do you have?
I have like.
Oh, did you not? You said you didn't take it.
I didn't take enough, yeah.
Okay. You need these 3. These are it seem like these were you. Okay, so I guess let's do Jonas and Steven. Ranger, do you want to? You can come 2. We can do 3.
Sure.
But 3 probably not gonna. We'll see. I only have 2 IFPs here. So come here and sit in these chairs. Yeah, the NFT chairs.
See the issue, and I'm supposed to come on, right?
You ate them? I told you couldn't. These are you used them. They're not useful. Stop that. That's all you get.
Oh, wait, I'm. It's going to Thomas's federal.
Don't keep the faith. Yeah, well, you can destroy it. You just can't turn it into a $20 bill. Come on.
Hey, you want to use that?
Okay, I'm gonna need some of these. So here's the demonstration. I hope everybody gets a good view. Maybe it won't happen. Got an NFT. And I'd like to set it for when Jonas, will you buy my NFT for me? Okay, nice. You bought it for 1 E. But I regret it. Can I buy it back for 2?
2 eats. Sure.
I'll buy it back. Okay, I'm gonna hold on. Oh, hey, man, I got this NFT. Will you buy it for 4 eats? Sure, I'll buy it for 4 eats. Hey, guys, I'm DJ. What's up?
What's up, DJ?
How you doing? Please call me CJ. Okay. Got this NFT. It's got a history of going up. I bought it for 50. How about 12? I'll buy, anybody buy it for 12? Maybe. Buy for 12.
Who has 12?
Yeah, okay.
No.
Also,
Can we put this on the layaway?
also, you know what I'm saying?
You know what to say, buy low, sell high, and it's high right now. Let's have about 8. Take it or leave
Okay, fine, I'll do
it. I'll give you 10 because you're my friend. DJ, I mean CJ.
Yeah. I got another one of yours. I mean, it's from my personal collection, but
How much?
how much you guys want to spend? I'll do it.
I'll give you 1.
Do 7.
I'll do 7. But you get these all in 7.
You want to buy this too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll pay 8.
Okay.
Like the same, you know, it's already been committed, so. I'm just playing here.
And you can sell it.
No, oh, yeah, you haven't, so I'll buy it from you for 8. Okay. That's for 8, okay.
Cool. I didn't see it.
You get these. This doesn't count.
Who cares if we're getting ripped off when it's so much fun?
All right, you guys can go sit down. No, that's okay. You didn't have them.
Even before they turn those into actual NFTs. We start trading them in operating systems in the back of the black.
So what happened? Jonas barely wanted to buy it for 1 to begin with. And now all of a sudden he spent 8 on it and now he bought one. He bought 2 NFTs for what, like 15? And what do you have now?
Well.
You have a picture that I drew 2 seconds.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
But it's the thought.
Are you happy with that? Are you happy with what happened?
Yes, because I am a finance.
Finance.
Glad you guys are happy to obviously know the exercise. You guys, I mean. I'm glad you guys are happy, but like I said. The way I had imagined this to go. Right, I mean, I sold it, I pretended like it was gonna go up every 2, I was gonna double your money, right? That was the idea, and you went home with a picture. Less than a sheet of paper, drawn with a Sharpie.
Doesn't normal art work this way now?
I guess so. Anyway, that's kind of what happens with a lot of these NFTs. There's a community that like before that they has history of going up. They also do this thing where there's always this idea that you're gonna make an NFT, sell it to yourself for $2 million, do like a different thing for $2 million, and sell it to someone else for $500,000 because they got the quarter off, right? So they need to pay my bills or something stupid like that, right? So they just made $500,000, and this guy got scammed for $500,000, thinking it was a $2 million art piece. Anyway, I'll give you back your chocolates if you want, because that wasn't the point. The point wasn't to scam you, it was to show you the dots.
What do you propose? This is still going.
That's what I'm saying. But why didn't you buy it for more than 1 to begin? Why were you so apprehensive?
Because I was pretending to not move this. So what happens if you don't have to pay?
You know, it's all gonna be 20 for it.
There we go. I mean, that's it. Unless you guys someone's not gonna have enough to pay for it. Whatever. Whatever, you give me time, whatever.
I could not be honest.
Whatever, I give you.
Like, do you want that to keep it?
That's garbage.
Anyway, let's rethought of it anyway. I haven't.
Anybody who wants one, just gives it to me again. I'm just gonna, this includes my presentation. The QR code is the thing, that's okay. If you guys are interested, I'd like to do maybe in the future one with more code, some more, maybe a little bit of the Solidity stuff. It's interesting, but it's kind of boring. And I didn't really want to be boring today.
So can we eat stuff?
Yeah, you can do whatever you want. You could always eat them, but it's just consequences.
Make your age group, scanner itself, like pretty low.
I have never scammed on NFTs.
But like it probably.
It's legally obligated.
I think the profit margin would be pretty substantial. I mean, they sell these things for crazy. Jonas?
So. It's what you like kind of look to see how. I look at your before, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I
Browser.
remember how, like, over half of like Toro basically owned by the federal government.
Well, it was invented by the US Navy, but yeah, anyway,
But
sure.
they
I didn't-
basically had a whole operation to do that, so taking control over the system basically. So basically, obviously, there are a lot of people having interest against like crypto big banks, like
Mhm, yeah.
car companies like
The US banks, right? The US banks have, there's whatever, there's 3 of them or 7 of them or something. They have an active interest, right?
Yeah. So what, given all the resources they have, what's stopping them from trying to pull an operation like that? And if they pull it off, wouldn't that basically kill your whole platform?
Yep, okay, your blockchain. The only thing that stops them from that is the proof ofs, right? The proof of work, proof of space, proof of space. If they buy half of ETH, yeah, ETH is swap. But it's just such an expensive thing, and it's such a hard thing to justify. The ETH cap, like the thing. I mean, I guess they have a lot of money to do it, right? Because the market cap of ETH, I don't know what it is. It's probably in the tens of billions, which isn't out of the question for them. So
Because like MasterCard needs to have like a drop, and they feel like that's.
that's true, yeah.
Pretty easily.
Yeah, I don't have an answer to that. I think that could happen. Proof of work is a lot harder to do because you have to be able to actually buy the ASICs in the first place, and there's probably just not enough of the ASICs to buy. Like I mean, the yearly production of these things is pretty low, but you know, they've been producing for 10 years now. So there's a lot out there, and there's probably a lot more out there than you could feasibly buy without someone noticing. And I guess, again, like a follow-up to that, what if someone notices? I don't know. I don't know. So yeah, that could happen. With proof of stake, again, they have these things called validators too. And the validators are the ones that are the trusted sources. So you stake with the validators, so you give the validators control of your Ethereums or your Solanas. And the validators are actually the ones who are trustworthy. They're the ones who can lie and cannot. So you could, I didn't actually cover something that's really important about ETH. I'll go back there. I'll take your question first, Jonas, and then
Exactly. I'm having. It's kind of a two-part
okay,
question.
come back. I'll come back to it. I'll do this one real quick. There's a thing called ETH Classic. Does anyone know what ETH Classic is? Have you heard of it? Do you know what it is? Do you know what ETH Classic, where it came from? So one of the important parts of a blockchain is that it's immutable. So you can get it like the scammers like Luna, they can get away with it because there's nothing you can do about it. You got scammed, that's it. You got too bad and make it better next time. ETH Classic, there was a problem with the Ethereum blockchain and a bunch of people lost their money. A bunch of people lost their Ethereum coins because the Ethereum blockchain was compromised. They undid it. So ETH Classic is the chain where the scam happened and where it is in the blockchain. The people at Ethereum undid the scam. So this blockchain, which is supposed to be immutable, they changed, which is really bad for Ethereum. I mean, that's basically all I can say about it. Ethereum is provably not immutable anymore. So because the people, the higher ups, the people who owned the Ethereum blockchain itself said, we're going to undo it. Jonas?
Yeah, okay, so I remember. So basically, kind of the big, a lot of, what's it called, crypto, like Bitcoin, for example, is, let's say you want to buy something off the Silk Road or something, it's more quote anonymous. My question is, you mentioned for a lot of people, for a lot of crypto, that every transaction is public. So what kind of information is made public in that transaction? And identifiable to the person or the thing that you bought. And two, even if it's not necessarily identifying in of itself, right? You have a lot of these big companies that have so much data on people, shopping habits, preferences, everything. Could they just get access to this data instantly, maybe run some ML models on it and like figure out who's doing what on the blockchain based on that?
Yeah, those are good questions. So blockchain truly isn't anonymous in most cases. Bitcoin isn't. The guy who made it, Satoshi, he wanted it to be anonymous, but you can't, it's hard to make it anonymous and still verify the blockchain. So it's actually pseudo-anonymous, right? So everybody has a screen name and their screen name is their address, their Bitcoin address. And you're right, someone could go through and they could find it because at some point you have to put money in and it could be mining. And if you mine, someone has your IP address, unless you used a VPN, and it can't be Nord or anything like that because you can sell that. So yeah, you're right. In situations like that, they could do that. You could figure out who's buying what because you're always tied to it somehow because somehow you have to put money in. They do have a couple of these dApps called, they call them like Tornado or something like that. And basically these, this is not trustless. So a lot of these transactions, a lot of these scams happen in not trustless environments. And I should probably touch on that too, because that's how these rug pull happens. But that's a tangent. I'll talk about that later. Basically what happens with these is you put your coins in. So you put an ETH in, right? You put an ETH in, they hold on to it for 2 days. They send it to a bunch of different people. So you put in 1 ETH, someone else puts in half an ETH, someone a quarter of an ETH. They might get your ETHs and then they might get sent to someone else and all over the place. And they basically just scramble the history of this coin. So you put it in, it gets scrambled and it comes out to a different address that you told it. So the address has no history besides receiving coins from the Tornado. And the Tornado is supposed to be random. It's supposed to be where you can't figure out who did it. And that's kind of an answer to that question. The real answer is there's different blockchains like Monero, and Monero doesn't have a public ledger. It's hidden. It's not even hidden. It just doesn't exist. So Monero is a great option for people trying to do things like that, where they don't get their assets frozen. That's another reason to use a blockchain. You can get your assets frozen by a bank. You technically could get it frozen by a crypto exchange, but they only say, I'm banning this one from trading on our platform. You can still sell it to someone else and you can still put it in the tornado. So yeah, it's pseudonymous. They can figure it out. People can know, but there is ways around it. It just costs money. What did I say I was gonna talk about? That was the tangent. Oh, trustless. Yeah. So a lot of these scams, Luna, like, let's go to Luna here, because this is kind of important to talk about in scams. It doesn't really have anything to do with developing, but there's a way to avoid this stuff. Luna yield. Oh, I didn't know it left. Percent. Okay, Luna yield. So basically what happened with these is you put in your coin, right? So you put in a real ETH. So I don't know. Let's say this is my pseudo ETH, right? And you have one of those coins in your wrapper. So that wrapper is the one of the coin. Actually, I have a plastic one. No, I'll take this instead. So let's say this is the real ETH, or this is the Bitcoin, and this is a fake. This is an IOU for Bitcoin. Basically, what happens in these, the trustless transaction part is this. Someone gives me the real Bitcoin. I give them an IOU for Bitcoin. I hold on to this and I say, you can always give me this and I'll always have a Bitcoin to give you in return. That's what Luna Yield did. And they gave a bunch of people IOUs for a bunch of stuff. And then they didn't honor the IOUs. So they took all the Bitcoins and they ran with them. And that's where the trustless part of these smart contracts breaks down, is when you take the trustless part and you don't use it. So you will always get your IOU. You'll always get your IOU for a Bitcoin, but people won't always honor the IOU. And that's where the rug pulls come. This happens in Luna Yield. It happens in lending platforms like Aave. It can't happen in Uniswap because Uniswap you swap two real assets. Yeah, a lot of this stuff you have to worry about if they give you like farming, staking, and stuff like that. I said I'd come back to the staking thing. I think that's probably gonna be the last thing I talk about. I think I'm running a little long here, but people are getting bored. The staking thing. So the staking thing, like I said, when we did that staking thing, the exercise, right? You can't take your coins out, basically. How staking work is you put them in and they have to stay there for a specific amount of time. Otherwise you get penalized the next time you do it. So you can put them in and it could be a day, could be a week. Usually they don't really go beyond that, but you have to commit to your coins being in there. And that limits the supply of Ethereum being traded every day, which in turn makes the supply of Ethereum go down, which makes the price go up, theoretically. So people are taking this idea, and Ethereum, it works because they have the power to mint more, and mining is a part of the ecosystem of it. The problem is when you apply it to farms, where people take this idea, the concept of staking, and they stake them for these. They usually do it for liquidity pools, which are on exchanges. So a liquidity pool is basically you have a pool of ETH and you have a Bitcoin, and anybody coming with Bitcoin that wants ETH, you put the Bitcoin in here and you give them an ETH. And the same thing happens the other way. And the general idea is you have a balance of the two. And people, you need this pool of Bitcoin and ETH in order to make this happen. So usually the people will put in an equal amount of Bitcoin and ETH, and then you get a percentage of every transaction. Now people take this, they call these LP tokens, liquidity pool tokens. And that's the same thing as an ERC20 token. They make them ERC20 tokens. And this is an IOU. There's another IOU where you say IOU, not only do I owe you the amount from the liquidity pools, but I also owe you the percentage that I've taken from everybody who's used this transaction. And I'm going to give that to you when you come in and retrieve your tokens. A lot of people take these liquidity pool tokens and then you can put them in the farms. You can stake them in a farm, and a farm doesn't do that. A farm has no function. Farms don't do anything besides hold on to your tokens and give you tokens for that. So generally they'll give you a different token. So I talked a little about Soul Farm. That was the picture of the tulip. I'm gonna go look and see if I can find it. It doesn't really matter if I can't. It's not here. A bit further. There we go. Okay, so the tulip. That's they call them tulip token. This is for Soul Farm. And basically what you do is you put in your liquidity pool token, and then they give you tulip for doing that. And tulip, there's no reason, there's nothing that the farm does besides hold on to these tokens and prevent them from being in circulation. So that makes the price of the assets go up in there. So the liquidity pool tokens that they represent, that price will go up. And then Tulip, based on that, will go up too, because usually they're getting paid a little bit by them in their token. So now there's no money exchanging hands here. It's just a bunch of these ERC20 tokens going in between people trying to hide them for other people to pretend like there's less of them than there are, and make the price go up. And this is, again, why crypto is so volatile, because you're having like, you take $100 and you turn it into like $500 with all of these ways that you can take these things and put them in different places to make the supply of this go down. It's really confusing to talk about because there's so much going on here. It took me a long time to figure out how this stuff worked. And that was kind of by doing it. So if you don't understand it off of that, I don't blame you. Words don't really mean a lot, especially if I talk for more than 5 minutes. Nobody's paying attention, but and that's not on you guys. Anyway, I'm rambling a little bit and got some tests I need to go to. Anybody got more questions? Jonas, again, the interested party.
I guess just kind of one last thing. I know.
You can ask as many as you want. I'm not in a rush.
I know there's a lot of like hype around like Web3 and stuff. And
Yeah.
you hear people saying using blockchain almost as a sort of buzzword now, saying, oh, this new blockchain app does so and so for this. What use cases would you say, for one, do you think there are any good use cases for blockchain outside of finance? What are they, and what kind of blockchain things do you think are the most?
Okay.
So like what's
I'll start at the beginning. I might need to be reminded by these questions. So what's the real use case of blockchain? Blockchain is a way to secure digital assets. That's the easiest answer to give. Finance is what people talk about because that's what's been done. It's hard to think of something, hard to come up with new ideas. So it's hard to think of things that haven't been done. Some things that could happen in blockchain, NFTs. NFTs are a really interesting thing because of that. I'm not talking about the Bored Ape Yacht Club. I'm talking more about, like I said, with those books, and you can use NFTs to secure stuff. So you guys, are you familiar with the lockout tagout procedure, stuff like that? So lockout tagout is something that happens in manufacturing places. So with big heavy machines. So let's talk about, I don't know, let's do a coin, a stamping, where we stamp coins, right? There's this big giant heavy thing that comes down and puts a big imprint on copper, zinc, nickel, stuff like that, right? And these are tough materials. And if someone's working on this machine and someone turns it on, someone could really, really easily get hurt. Something that happens with conveyor belts too. So basically, they have this big wall of keys, basically. And what you do is you have a lock and you come up, you turn off the machine, you like flip the switch and you put your lock on it. So you put a lock on it and you put a tag on it. So your tag has your phone number, your walkie-talkie thing on it, and your name. So if someone wants to turn on the machine, they got to call you and you got to come and take off your lock. And your lock is individual to you and no one can cut it off, because if it's on there, it means you're working on it. NFTs can do that. NFTs can do stuff like that digitally. So you can lock out, tag out for GitHub, right? I mean, I can't think of a really good example of it right now, but NFTs are unique to each person. So you can use this to do that, to say, this is mine, this is only mine, and no one else can use it. And you can make it so I'm not ready with this feature, don't deploy it to production, right? And that's probably a trivial use case of it, but there's definitely better ones for it. You can use it for, I don't know, like exactly what lockout tagout is used for. You can do like drone strikes, right? Yeah, you can do an NFT to lock the weapons, right, on a drone or something like that. And I'm sure there's other ways you could do it, but NFTs are definitely one of the ways you could. And I'm just spitballing, right? There's probably not a good idea to use those, but I mean, you can kind of understand how that could be a thing because they're unique. So you should use them in situations where you need something unique. Secondly, what was your second question? That's not the bullshit one. Or was that the bullshit?
So yeah, are there? I think it was the first one was like, are there any kind of good use cases for outside of finance specifically? And then the second one was, which kind of use cases do you see for it that are the most bullshit?
Okay, so I think NFTs answers the first question. That's my answer to it, because everything else is a form of money. The most bullshit thing that you can do with crypto, use that as a buzzword. I don't even think NFTs are more bullshit than that. I think if you are a guy who's working at a thing, is like, oh, we blockchain. Oh, you want me to explain Bitcoin to you? Bitcoin mine is when you solve a really hard math problem. I think trying to use blockchain as a way to attract investors is the most bullshit thing you can use, especially if you don't understand it. That's why I got my Bitcoin here. In my ASIC jungle hoodie. I didn't get to pull this one out. More questions? I hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you had fun. Hope it wasn't boring. Thank you.